Completing the square to convert from standard to vertex form. If you remember back in lesson 311, we learned about what vertex form was. In 312, we learned how to convert from vertex form to standard form. And in this lesson, 313, we're going to actually do the opposite. We're going to convert from standard form, from standard form back to vertex form. Now, you may ask why we want to do that. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at, go ahead and start looking at our notes. In lesson 312, we learned that we can easily draw a rough graph of a quadratic if the equation is in vertex form. Because when it's in vertex form, we can get the vertex, and remember that vertex is the negative of h, comma k. We can also get the axis or line of symmetry, and we can tell if the vertex is a max or a min from the equation. And that, remember, that comes from a in the equation, whether it's positive or negative. Okay? Now, if the equation is in standard form, all right, we can tell if the vertex is a max or min. And again, we're still using a for that. And we can get the y-intercept. Remember, it's the y-intercept is c. It's that c in the equation. However, we cannot get the vertex because we don't have, in standard form, we don't have the h in the k. So if I want to get if I want to graph it, I need the vertex. So it's easier to graph when the equation is in vertex form. Okay, so that's important to remember. So that's why if it's written in standard form, you might want to put it into vertex form. Okay, and what we're giving you here is we're giving you this. To convert from standard form to vertex form, you must use a tool called completing the square. And that's what we're going to do in today's work. All right, we're going to learn how to complete the square. Okay, so the best way to do this is to get it started. When I say completing the square, that means I'm going to have something written in x minus h form squared. So we're going to have something squared, something minus something or something plus something squared. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So here's the way I do this. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this into y equals the x squared plus 6x. Then I'm going to put a plus and a blank there. I'm going to put that whole thing in parentheses. Now you're saying, well, what happened to the minus 6? Well, I'm just going to put that on the outside of the box, outside there. Oops. The minus 6. And then I'm going to put a plus, I'm sorry, I'm not going to put a plus there, I'm going to put a minus there. Alright. And then a blank. Now, I'm going to fill in this blank, and this blank with the same thing. And I always write it with the plus there and the minus there. Because what we're going to do is we're going to add, say that this is 5, we're going to add 5 there, and then we're going to subtract 5 there. So I'm really just adding 0. So I'm not really changing my equation. Now I'm going to put 2 parentheses next to each other below this. I'm going to put an x in the first one and x in the second one. Since this is plus 6x, I'm going to put a plus there and a plus there. Now we know that this blank and this blank have to add up to be 6. And they have to be the same number because it's going to be a square. So what number plus itself adds up to be 6? That's going to be 3. So I'll put a 3 there. Okay? Now, here's the deal. If I multiply this back together, I would get x times x is x squared. X times 3 is 3x. 3 times x is 3x. And 3 times 3 is 9. I just used FOIL, or I could use my box to do that. And that gives me x squared plus 6x plus 9. So that 9 has to go up into that box. I'll do it in a different color. So I'm going to put a 9 there and a 9 there. Alright? Now I can rewrite this now as y equals, now x plus 3 times x plus 3 is x plus 3, and it's going to be squared. So this part that I just did is equal to this part in the parenthesis here. Now I got to do negative 6 minus 9. That gives me negative 15. And that is my equation rewritten into vertex form. If you'll notice that the a here is just 1, but now I can take the vertex. The vertex is negative of that, so negative 3, and the k, or the y, is negative 15. So that's my vertex. Okay? Now, this may be a little difficult. It's the practice on completing the square. I'm going to give you an opportunity to try the second example on your own. If you have no idea on how to get started, then you can just continue watching the video. But if you can, try to work this on your own and then turn the video back on. So go ahead and pause. When you think you get it finished, go ahead and click the play button again and check your work. Okay, so hopefully you were able to work that. If not, that's okay. We'll just take a little practice here. To get that negative 8x, you have to add negative 4 plus negative 4, because negative 4 plus negative 4, it's the same thing added to itself. That equals my negative 8. If I multiply it back out, that negative 4 times negative 4 is going to be positive 16, so that's what is added into the blank, is the 16 into each of those blanks. So x squared minus 8x plus 16 is the same thing as x minus 4 squared, and negative 20 and negative 16 make negative 36. And that's how I come out with that equation written in vertex form. The vertex is the opposite of h, so it's just going to be 4 and then k. So there's my vertex 4, negative 36. Alright, if there's any parts of this you need to rewind and watch again, please do so. And make sure you complete the whisk, and we'll see you in class for some practice.